fall. The Adams administration yesterday unveiled its annual report card that provides a closer look at how city agencies are performing. Mayor Adams touted highlights from this year's Mayor's Management Report, showing improvements in public safety and housing affordability and quality of life. But ambulance response times worsened, and the sanitation department cleaned fewer properties around the city due to budget cutbacks. The city's homeless shelter population remained at nearly all-time highs, but access to city benefits like food stamps saw slight improvements, all according to the 500-plus page report. Joining me now to break down some of what is going on here, we've got the first Deputy Mayor Randy Mastro. Welcome back to the program. Good to see you.
Pleasure to be here.
What are the highlights of the MMR that you want New Yorkers to know about most? What are you most proud of here?
Crime down by historic proportions. Affordable housing being produced at record levels, and quality of life in general improving. The economy and quality of life issues. You point out, Errol, there's always room for improvement. And in fact, in the budget just passed, that Mayor Adams said was the best budget ever, and Speaker Adams said was near perfect. We have provided more funding for sanitation to clean empty lots and to do more street cleaning, a second shift for parks cleaning, and we still have other issues to address, including EMS response times, but police response times improved.
Okay. Let me ask you something. As a former prosecutor, we haven't talked about this before, but while crime is down across most categories, or nearly all categories of serious crime, assaults are still felony assaults are nearly at 25-year highs. That there's this thing that's been going on since the pandemic that I don't know if you have a theory about where that's coming from or what the right way is to address it.
I don't have a theory on why the numbers are so reflective of a different pattern in behavior. Some of it has to do with enforcement and categorization. Some of it, I think, has to do with coming out of a period of isolation and reorienting in civilized society. But I think the most important thing about the crime stats is that in virtually every major category, we are down, and in some categories, like shootings and murder, to historic lows.
Let me ask you about processing time for cash assistance and SNAP food benefits. This was something that was a real challenge. It predates your time with this administration, and there's been progress, but the numbers to me are startling. That even 15, 16, 20% of applicants for very badly needed benefits, that it's taking more than 30 days to get them signed up, when you and I can apply for, $1 million mortgage and get at least a preliminary approval, within minutes.
That's not good enough. We strive to do better. I think we will do better. And in the most recent budget that was adopted, we have provided for improvements in so many areas. But I agree with you, we have to strive to do better for those most in need.
Is this an area where a public-private partnership would come in handy? Because I'm thinking of the J.P. Morgan Chases and the American Express. These are places that process billions of dollars worth of stuff. They know how to do approvals. They've got the technology. And then even at the other end, we've got community credit unions that can sort of, they have credibility and presence in a lot of these affected neighborhoods as well.
We do have partnerships. And in fact, we have a partnership with the partnership, which represents so many of those companies. And we do benefit from those relationships. And we have to do more of that. And I think you will see us doing more of that.
Okay. On the good news side, also, I see that checks are going out for not everybody who bought a bin, a composting bin, but if you're in the STAR program or the E-STAR program, you're going to get a check to reimburse you for that $60 can that we all were forced to buy.
Yes, indeed. The council passed legislation, although it wasn't actually funded in the budget. The mayor agreed to fund it anyway. And now everyone who qualifies, 1 and 2 family homes in the STAR program, who's already bought a bin, will get a check for nearly $60 that covers the full cost of the bin. And anyone else who hasn't bought a bin yet,
Yeah.
okay, you go buy your bin with the vendor who provides the bins, you'll get your check. And if you buy it from some other source, like a Home Depot, you just provide proof of purchase, and you'll get a check.
How about that?
It's like Oprah Winfrey. You'll get a check,
I know.
you'll get a check, you'll
like
get a
this.
check.
I like that. I mean, look, I happen to have the right kind of bin all along, but mine were chained
too.
up because they'd been stolen before. So, you know, I've been warily watching this process.
You've got the right bin. I got 3 bins.
Mine has not been stolen, so I'm taking that as a good sign of crime being down. Good for you. Let me ask you about the city council. I think we have a clip. Justin Brandon was complaining, and we'll talk about it. These are hearings that they say the administration should have been present at. Let's take a look.
I just want the record to reflect that this is the second time this week that City Hall is being represented by empty chairs in this chamber. Okay? All while the mayor is pushing ballot proposals to build more housing because he says that we're the ones in the way of building more housing. And here he is now playing games to block the building of more housing.
So, with all due respect to Justin, he's the one playing the political games. Actually sitting in the audience at that hearing and only allowed to testify after having waited there for more than an hour is Diane Savino, special advisor to the mayor, Tiffany Raspberry, the deputy mayor responsible for intergovernmental, and they, when finally permitted to testify, testified in full. Earlier in the week, yes, we did not send an individual to be questioned by the council on the issue of federal cuts in the Trump administration. We provided a 13-page, single-spaced, detailed analysis of every program, the money involved, what we've done to protect New York, when we've gone to court, when we've succeeded, and what steps we've taken in the budget, including the largest reserve, equal to the largest reserve in our history. And we didn't send an individual to be subject to that kind of rhetoric because it's such a sensitive situation with the federal administration about these programs and how we are fighting every day to protect New Yorkers and our city from what the Trump administration is doing. We've now participated in 24 lawsuits against the Trump administration. Probably Mayor Adams has participated in more lawsuits than any other mayor in the country against the Trump administration. That's the other hearing in which we didn't send an individual for that kind of political theater. We provided the information in detail, and we respect the council. We respect its role. But respect means being respectful too, and thinking of the larger picture of what's going on in Washington.
This is interesting. This sounds like this was your call to not have, say, subject matter experts or other people come to these hearings?
There was no information not provided to the council. It's just not having someone in the chair to berate was deemed offensive by the council. But that would serve no purpose. The important part here is that we shared the complete information. We shared it with the council, and we shared it with the public. And look,
help me understand though. Who were they going to berate? If you came in with a piece of paper saying these cuts are coming down from the federal government, they would probably berate the federal administration.
Well, unfortunately, what has happened far too often is that we've had situations where the effort is made to not attack the real source of the problem, but to go after the administration. We're all big boys and girls here, okay? And we all understand politics is played. And I wish, when I came back to City Hall, the two sides of the hall were more united against the real problem, which is what's going on in Washington right now. But we aren't united. The council seems to want to criticize the mayor at every turn. And we haven't found enough points of common interest. I've been trying to develop them. Justin, I have great respect for. But to say that isn't accurate. And we did have witnesses there today who answered any questions council members had, but were only permitted to testify at the end of the hearing.
Well, but now, unfortunately, you're still going to need cooperation from them.
Absolutely.
I hear that there's a
Absolutely.
new effort to try and ban horses from pulling carriages around Central Park. You're going to need their help.
In fairness, what you're going to see is a collaborative effort with a majority of the council to get that legislation passed. I think there are 21 sponsors to that bill. The mayor is meeting the moment. We've had a series of horrific incidents in that industry. And we've worked really hard since I came back to City Hall after a 30-year absence. Worked really hard to develop those relationships across the aisle. I think you're going to have a guest this evening who will tell you that, Julie Wan. And it's a measure of that we passed a unanimous budget for the first time in many, many years.
It was in primary season and a bunch of people were running. But let me ask you one last question. The New York Daily News is reporting that you're now trying to scuttle or scale back or put a freeze on the Just Home project. This is the one, 83 units of supportive housing for people coming out of incarceration up in the Bronx.
Yeah, completely false. What we are doing is exploring whether the Just Home component, that's only those incarcerated at Rikers who have medical needs, whether that's the best place for that component. We're going to have supportive housing. We're going to have, for people with medical needs, we're going to have affordable housing built on that site. So that community will have that housing built on that site. The question is where the local council member and the community have such reservations about the Just Home component. Is that the ideal place for it? I believe in win-win solutions. So does the mayor. Let's try to find a solution where you have, and we're committed to Just Home, the right location where it will have wider acceptance and support, more affordable housing at that site. So you're going to have a win-win. You're going to have more supportive housing, more affordable housing, because we are involved in finding multiple locations that will best support it.
Isn't that the problem, though, that there's always a political objection, no decision then is final, no decision gets handled on the merits. It's always kind of like, well, this politician is screaming, so let's find somebody else. Let's find another neighborhood where they're not screaming quite as loud.
The answer is no for the following reason. They're still going to have supportive housing and affordable housing on that site, as much or more than what's planned for that site now. And then we will have more supportive housing, including Just Home, and more affordable housing at a site where there is more buy-in and support. It doesn't mean...
But you can't name that place. That place doesn't exist.
I can. That place exists in several locations that we're exploring right now. And I'll be happy to come back on the program in a few weeks and tell you exactly where that is. Okay. Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen soon. And I think you're going to see, and the council will see, that it's a win-win for everyone.
Okay.